Welcome back to the Dota Radio Morning Show, presented by Dota Radio, the internet radio dedicated to Dota 2. Make sure you visit us at dotaradio.com to learn more about our audio-only style of commentary. Today is an exciting day, folks. You can tweet at us. Don't forget about that as well, at Zayori TV or at the Dota Radio. We're back with our regular host, but we have a special guest today. Pyrion Flax going to be joining us. He's actually already on the call. We're switching things up today and going to bring him in very early. I'm Zayori, your show host as always. Hippie going to be with us on the analysis desk, and of course, Monolith here, our master of communications, is with us as always. But I want to start off with a hello and salutations to you, Mr. Pyrion Flax. Thank you so much for being here. How are you today, sir?
I'm doing all right. Thank you for having me. I'm just managing two children at the same time, so there may be some shouting, but it's okay. It's great to be here.
It's okay indeed, sir. So we're glad you were able to make it. What have you been up to recently? Of course, I have you labeled here as Dota Entertainer Extraordinaire. Your YouTube channel has become infamous. YouTube.com/Ted himself. Not Pyrion Flax. What happened there? Was Pyrion Flax taken, or was that?
No. I've had this YouTube channel longer than I've been doing the stuff as Pyrion Flax, and I made videos a while back, and that was just a name I had because I don't know if you remember the show Jackass. They had a guy called Rab himself, and I thought that was a funny name, so I was Ted himself. But then I thought, well, I need a better name, so I came up with something else.
Interesting. So, Chris Hippie, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm great, man. Excited, as usual.
Yes, I'm excited as well. And Monolith, how about you, buddy? How you doing?
Doing good.
Glad.
Getting ready to go to Courier soon.
Oh, yeah, that is coming up. That is very exciting. Something we'll have to talk about in our Friday edition here coming up. We got a lot of topics today, guys. We're going to start with just our straight Pyrion Flax interview. We're going to learn a little bit more about him, what it's like to be E-famous, and all that good stuff. We're going to talk Reddit this week, pumpkin carving, the Doom cosplay, Dire Tide, all that stuff going to be coming up later. And then we're going to talk 6.79, of course. We're going to be talking a little bit of Midas Madness and a bit of the analysis desk coming from Hippie today. Going to be about Mirana, the Priestess of the Moon. It's going to be interesting. Perhaps we'll talk about the old Starfall, whatever its new crappy name is, debate. So anyway, Pyrion, talk to us a little bit about your gaming history. I know that your gaming career spans way past Dota 2. You've played EVE a little bit, and I know Hippie has a few questions about that.
Right.
How did you first get started in gaming?
You mean in terms of having a channel or in terms of playing games?
Well, both, but I was going for playing games in the young years way back.
Yeah, well, I mean that if you search for the Atari 2600, the wooden panel thing from the 70s and 80s, that was my first kind of introduction. I guess it would have been about 1979, maybe 1980, and I remember buying it with my dad. That was my first console, so it probably predates most people that watch my videos, but hey, I figure that gives me a wealth of experience, right? I mean, this is the main thing was when I play games now, I can't believe how ungrateful people are about how awesome games are now compared to what they used to be like. Like even networking two computers, I can buy a new phone or something and go home, turn on the Wi-Fi, and it's just like on. Whereas when you used to play Doom on LAN, we would spend hours trying to get two computers to talk to each other just to play Doom. Like that, it was, and they were next to each other. So it continually amazes me how amazing computers are. But yeah, in terms of online games, I didn't get into online games until quite late. It was actually, I guess, after everybody else seemed to be playing Team Fortress and 1.6, Counter-Strike 1.6 and games like that, like Ultima Online and everything. I only really got into it late because I didn't have broadband for some time. And then when I got into the internet, I was like, oh wow, like why would you ever play a single player game ever again? So generally I only really play online. I don't really get why people still play single player games.
Yeah, I have a similar feeling. I was never a fan of like the Skyrim style games. They're cool, but there's something about just knowing that I'm playing by myself really makes it kind of a depressing experience. I like knowing that I'm interacting with real people on the other side of the screen.
Right.
Something about
and also
that.
If Chris was going to talk about or Hippie was going to talk about EVE, that was the game that really got me into multiplayer gaming. Like because I played World of Warcraft, but that's still a pretty solitary experience. You may chat to other people, but it's basically a single player game where you form the occasional party. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the time you're grinding stuff. You chat to people, but you could do that on Skype. Like you could do that, it's weird. But World of Warcraft was a good game at introducing that, hey, this is single player and we're going to add some player versus player stuff. And once I got a taste for it, I was like, well, that's okay, but I die. It's just a pain. Like I just have to go back to base and walk in. Whereas with something like EVE, where there's an actual loss, Like everybody's seen the stories and the kill mails and stuff of people losing thousands of dollars of real world money's worth of stuff. Like that really excited me because that was the main thing that attracted me to Eve was because the grief that you could cause or have caused to you added an element of genuine tension. Like if I lose a game of Rome Total where I can just reload or just start again, whereas in Eve you're like that was months of work just gone up in smoke, and now I have to put up with the trash talk from my opponents. So it adds a whole layer of sort of peril, if you like. You know what I mean? It's like watching a horror movie where there's a chance you may get stabbed while you're watching it.
Yeah, no, it definitely adds an element of realism to the gaming effect. Chris, talk to us a little bit about Eve. I'm not experienced with Eve. As you mentioned, I've read those stories. I've sort of read a little bit about it, but it seemed really complicated and difficult to learn, so I kind of lost interest right away. But have you actually played it, Chris?
Oh yeah, I played it for years.
Oh, okay.
I did. I went with almost every aspect of it. I did missions. I skipped mining because it was boring as hell.
Yep.
Shooting at rocks. I did big wars. I did small engagements. But you're definitely right. There's basically something we refer to as a learning cliff, and it's exceedingly hard to get over.
There's that there's that picture that you see a lot of the learning curve for games, and all the other games have like a genuine curve, but then the Eve one shoots straight up and comes to a cliff, and there's like a digger pushing a load of bodies over the edge of a cliff. Like that's the learning curve. It is tough.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
Go ahead, Chris.
There's a lot of stuff to learn, but once you get into it, if you're the kind of person who really appreciates real tension. And I mean, even like little 1v1 fights in little dinky frigates, there's still like genuine tension. It's genuinely one of the most exciting games I think I've ever played.
Yeah.
I'm not subbed at the moment, but I definitely need to go back to it. I've only been unsubbed for a couple months of like the past few years.
Yeah. So
I played it so much that I played it for maybe 2 years, like day in, day out. Like every spare moment that I had, I was playing Eve.
Really?
And it was. I mean, we didn't. The corp I was in a corp called the Greater Goon, which was an offshoot of Goonfleet. And we sort of, we were in and out of being friends with them, and we had various tiny alliances. We were small. We were like 30 or 40, sometimes 50 active pilots, but it was small.
Right.
But it was fun because I got to know a lot of those guys. I'm still friends with a bunch of them, and it's just. It was good for that, but in terms of going back to playing Eve now, I mean, because I found Dota, there's really that's it. There's no way I'd ever go back, ever. I'll get asked a lot, "Would you going to play Eve again?" I was like, never, never. Like the game itself is so bad. Like it was, if the game didn't result in actual loss, I would never have played it because the learning curve is horrible, the UE is horrible. It's fiddly and annoying, and so much of it is tedious and mind-numbingly dull. So yeah, there's no way I'd go back.
Yeah. I'm always surprised. I still have a couple of friendships that blossomed through World of Warcraft and people that I'm still in contact with, even though I haven't played WoW in years. So I can empathize with that a little bit. It's sort of a cool feature of modern-day gaming technology to be able to make relationships like that cross-continent, across the world, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so, it's crazy.
Yeah, so we've heard the little ones running around in the background. Obviously, you are a father, and I did some research before this interview, and I was shocked to learn how old you are. In my head, I saw you at TI3. You've got a very young spirit about you, my friend. I thought you would have been much younger than your
it's
current
alcohol.
age.
It's just I'm preserved.
Is that the trick?
Is what
People
the trick?
say I have the opposite effect.
It does. Yeah, alcohol does have the opposite effect. But if you immerse yourself in it for your sleeping hours, it acts like a pickling agent. So I sleep in, like Michael Jackson had an oxygen tent. I just sleep in a tank of cider, like the Bacta tank that Luke Skywalker heals in Empire Strikes Back. It works for me.
All right. Well, I guess
Thank you. I take that as a compliment. I can't believe how old you are. I think that myself. I can't believe how old I am.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you do have a very youthful energy about you, but I was shocked to learn that you're 36. So
37.
You're 37. Oh,
yeah,
wow.
Yeah. And I'm 38 in 3 months' time. March, so 4 months' time.
Whoa,
so, yeah,
even
older than you. I'm even older than you think.
Yeah, geez. So, talk to us about the real life Pyrion Flax a little bit. What's a day in the life? What do you do outside of gaming, outside of YouTube construction, or is that kind of your primary focus aside from being a father right now?
Well, being a father is like there's You may be able to hear the whittering of tiny creatures in the background. It's weird because it's half term. Otherwise, the big girl would be in school, and the small one would be sort of, she'd be a bit more occupied. But my main struggle at the moment is balancing all this stuff, because being a father is extremely full-time-ish, and it's harder than any blooming job I've ever had, I tell you, because you've got to work hard at it. Like, you're compelled to work hard at it, both morally and genetically. Whereas most jobs I do, I hate them. So I sort of sit there and I resent the people I work for. Whereas here, I actually love the people I work for. So yeah, it's a weird job, but that's what I do full time. All this stuff with YouTube is kind of completely unexpected bonus. I had no idea that any of this was going to happen. There was no planning. There was no sort of career path I spoke to a friend who did it. Because if you talk to some of these guys, these professional YouTubers, they know exactly what's up, and they have milestones they want to hit, and they have contacts, and they know what they're doing, and they decided to get into it, and they like the look of it, and they approach it very professionally. And fair play to them. If a lot of these guys are very successful, and they're very nice guys, and they want to do what they love, because I love games. I play games all the time. It's amazing to be able to play a game that I wanted to play anyway for fun, record that, put it on the internet, and people like it. Like, it's how often does that happen in life? You find that kind of perfect collision of things. So the amount of time I put into it, I've always said, is going to be whatever I want to put into it. Like, I'm not going to become beholden to anybody's expectations. So people complain about the lack of Dota 2 guides. I just haven't been inspired, or I haven't had time, but I'm not going to sort of plug away and churn out stuff I'm not happy with. So whatever I'm obsessed with at the moment, like Dota or Hearthstone or something else, that's what I'm focused on.
Right.
So that's really my way of doing it. The spare time I have is precious enough as it is. I'm not going to make it feel like hard work. I'm going to have fun while I do it.
Yeah, I saw in an interview you did, I guess a year and a half ago or something, talking about how your creative process is such that once you get inspired, you get really into it, and you'll churn out a whole video from start to finish within a matter of 1 or 2 days. So it's not a very planned out, like, okay, I'm going to do, Faceless Void this week, going to do Phantom Lance. It's just, okay, I have some funny thoughts about Void. Let's see what we can do here. And
exactly. Like, you can't, I mean, I guess some people can, but I mean, I can't sit and think of an angle for a hero. Like, it occurs to you. Like, I generally like the ones, the videos of people like the most are the ones where I really hate on a character, because I think it's easy to relate, and it's also, they are quite easy to you can really let some stuff out. You know what I mean? You can really go to town. But if you're trying to find something to say, like I did the Beastmaster video, it just occurred to me in game that if you had a stinky team, like that, all the guys who had auras were also kind of stinky. So I came up with this team stench thing, and people really liked that. Like, people were trying it, people were posting videos of them attempting team stench. At TI3, people were saying that team stench might get picked and stuff like that. That was Beastmaster, oh god, Alchemist, Troll Warlord. There were other guys, I forget. But anyway, they were all pretty stinky looking guys. And so, that kind of thing, you can't sit and come up with that. I mean, who could come up with that? It's just some weird thing that pops into your head.
Right.
So yeah, my creative process, if there is a process, is just playing games and hoping that something falls off that I could sort of make into a video.
Interesting. And I've noticed that you've been streaming a little bit on Twitch TV. How's that been going for you?
It's been going great. Like, it's so much fun because I play with a friend of mine called Shane a lot, and I'd say I play with him the most. He abandons me regularly to go off and play some MMO. Like, he played Paths of Exile for a long time, and then he played something called Forgotten Realm or Forgotten World or some awful thing, and he'll vanish from Steam for like 3 or 4 weeks, and I won't hear from him. And then he's never on Skype, and then he'll come back on and be like, "Hey, do you want to play Dota?" I was like, "Where were you?" He's like this kind of fair weather boyfriend or girlfriend that walks back into your life, and you think, "Hang on a second, what, we had a relationship. What happened here?" Because I literally play with Shane like every day. Yeah. I'm not saying we're going out before you get the wrong idea. Shane's far too good for me. But basically, we play Dota together all the time. And when he's on stream, we always have fun, right? Like, we both look at the game the same way. We're both very relaxed about the game. We're not focused on winning so much as having fun. And so the other people I try to get onto stream with me are people who are similarly not driven to succeed. You know what I mean? They just want to play the game and have fun. Because otherwise, like, I play with some people on stream and they get really hacked off, and they'll have like a chat after the game about what we did wrong and what we should have done, and the picks were bad, and it was your fault, his fault, her fault, and then it all falls apart, and you kind of end up not having a good time. And most streams are pretty serious. If you watch them, they're either people attempting to show off their skills or people just shouting at each other about how hard the game is.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of do something else. And my Twitch chat is really, really nice. Like, you get to know people who turn up every single time you stream. They're like, there, straight away.
Yeah.
And I play a lot of music and mess around, and it's fun. It's loads of fun. And Twitch have just asked me to partner, so I've been filling out forms for that. I'm not entirely sure what it'll mean, but
it means a
sounds
couple
like
of things. It means you get transcoding on your channel, so people can scale it down to 360 or 240 or what have you.
For mobile phones and stuff.
Yep. Well, and also on the browser,
cool.
but also for mobile.
Because a lot of people have complained. A lot of people said you can't watch it on mobile. I was like, I'm sorry. I was like, not a button I could press to make that happen. So yeah, I had no idea how it works. So hopefully that'll be streaming now.
And partners also, you'll now be able to run commercials, so you'll get revenue share for when you do stuff.
I can't imagine I'll be running many commercials.
Well, you never know. You could be popular and blow up.
For it. People would not stand for that. I'm just gonna run a commercial now, guys. After I played Pudge last night. Like, generally what I do is I play the game and I'll upload the Twitch video to YouTube later. Mm-hmm. So that works better for me. I like putting videos on the channel so people can watch them whenever they want. I feel like if you tuned in and you're spending your spare time watching my stream, it feels bad for me to sort of run ads as well at my own behest. I think you get them when you land anyway, don't you?
That's an option. You can actually turn that off in your Twitch settings if you want.
No, I'll leave that one on. Maybe they can put up with one ad, and then they have to put up with me feeding. Oh god, the Pudge game last night was so bad, so bad. They keep a hook count going in the chat.
Oh
and
god,
it's just awful. It's like 12 out of 42. People just face palming and it's fun.
So I see you had a public email posted on your YouTube, pyrion.flax@gmail.com. Talk to us about some of the messages you get via that email. What kind of stuff do people send Pyrion Flax?
Well, generally speaking, it's either stuff saying, hey, please add me on Steam. I sent you a friend request. And I just don't bother replying to those because why would you add someone you don't know? Like, genuinely, if I've met someone and I get along with them or we played together and it was a lot of fun, then I'll add. Yeah, because I'm not going to just say, hey, first 200 random people that message me, yeah, of course you can go in, because why would I, like I have to add nicknames for every single person on my friends list just so I can keep track of who is who. Like, if someone changes their nickname, I'm completely thrown. They're like, oh, didn't you recognize my avatar, or don't you recognize my voice? I was like, no, I don't recognize everybody's voice. I'm sorry. So it's hard enough for me to manage that. But so that's the one kind of email I get. The other kind is like, and Purge, I was talking to Purge about this. If you cast a pub game, you will be inundated from that day forward with emails. I get about 10 or 15 a day. Please cast this pub game. It was an amazing match. It was 3 hours long. There were 5 kills, but I won and I got all the kills. Or I got 6 slotted. Please cast my game. So
yeah.
Sorry, hold on.
No problem.
Yeah, so those are the main two kinds. Is please be my friend, please cast my game. Hey, let's make a video together, which is another one I get, which is kind of sweet. And a lot of times I have, because they're like, hey, look, I made this video. What do you think? And I'm like, that's hilarious. We should do something. Or can you tweet this for me, please? And it's like a business proposal, or it's just a music video that they've made or something. And I'm like, what is this? So. Yeah, it's weird. And then I get the really nice, genuine fan mail where they just wanted to say, I really like your announcer back and I think you're really funny. I'm like, oh, that's so sweet. So I kind of, but then I'll get people saying, hey, can you cast me and my friend's tournament? We're doing it, I can only do Friday. And I'm like, what? They just want me to just spend my Friday evening casting him and his 9 mates having a best of 3. It's like, hey, we'll get Pyrion to cast it. He's not busy. He doesn't have a life. It's so funny.
Oh, man. That's an interesting mix. A little more positive than I was expecting. I was expecting some of your fans might be a little crazy and send all sorts of weird requests. Do you ever get requests to like record stuff or do something?
Yeah. They're like, please can send me all your drawings. I want to make T-shirts. Okay. Like, they just want me to give them all the drawings I've ever done so they can make their own T-shirts. I got a request from some guys to say their friend was really sick and could I please send him a drawing. So I was like, geez, okay. But I never heard back from them, so I don't know what they did with it. It's my friend's birthday. Please play Dota with him. Not much hate mail. I get sent a lot of, I don't want to say it, but I'll spell it because my kids are Porn. I get sent a lot of that. Porn. You can figure out the word.
Prawn?
Yeah. Okay. Well,
I'm
that one
having
anyway.
difficulty.
Yeah. They send me a lot of that. Pictures of themselves sometimes, which is kind of alarming. Those go in the keep folder. What else did I get? Yeah.
Excellent decision. I
Yeah.
approve.
There is some weird stuff. A guy sent me a load of poetry one time. That was really funny. It went on and on. He was asking me to add him as a friend because he'd invented a puck. He claimed he'd invented puck as part of a competition. And when I didn't add him, he got really aggressive about me being his friend. And so
Oh.
like, we should be friends. I invented puck. And I was like, okay. I just stopped replying. And then he sent me this massive poem that he wrote while he was drunk. So yeah, sometimes it veers into the weird, but it's always entertaining.
Oh, man. Oh,
Yeah,
God. That's,
there you go.
yeah, some people are weirdly aggressive. I've had a few people like that want to be friends right away. And
Yeah.
you're just like,
Be my friend right now.
I don't know you. That's not how friendships work, man. Sorry.
It's weird. Yeah, you don't walk up to someone on the street and say, "Hey, I don't know you, but let's be friends, and I can just contact you at any time and look at all the games in your Steam library and just message you and follow you around."
Yeah.
Let's do that.
So,
The other thing I get is people sending me stuff on Steam or asking to trade. Please, can I trade for your Kunker sword? I get that kind of thing. Yeah, it's funny.
oh, man.
I always read them, but I just don't always
don't always
like actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
to
So
reply.
now that you've gotten a lot more popular, you were at TI3. Talk to us about that experience. Were you invited? Were you flown in by Valve, or was that something you did by your own volition?
No, I was a guest of Valve, and I did some work for them. Most
an
of it you
honor.
didn't see because sadly, sadly, I say sadly, they had like Casey there, and Casey was so good at her job that it kind of meant that stuff that I did, she did it better. So it's like, okay, so and also we like it was just a little bit of a sort of I think they were just seeing how it went if they just gave me and Zoe a camera and just said, well, you can shoot that and you can edit it and go do it. We were like, okay. And because I mean now I would be able to do it a lot better. I've been getting on with Adobe Premiere and doing some editing and stuff, and I've actually been doing some filming because I'm filming a live action Dota video in my back garden, which is a work in progress.
Oh,
So
wow.
the stuff that I did for don't get excited, like it's
I'm already
terrible.
excited. That sounds awesome.
I put a trailer up and people quite like that, but that was just like 3 of the plushies that you could get at TI3 in the flower bed, and I just sort of shot them and used the Dota 2 voices over the background and some cool music, and it would look. I really like doing it, so I'm going to do a whole story. It's not going to be long; it's going to be like 5 minutes long, but so TI3 was good because Valve were amazing. They took me out there. They could not have been nicer. Like I was in there with the players and a bunch of the casters and all the crew and everything. So I got to know so many people that I'd either played with or just dealt with briefly.
Right.
So much more. Like I got to tour the Valve offices, which was amazing.
Wow.
And yeah, it was great. It was really, really good. It was one of the best sort of vacations I've had when it comes to being a nerd.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was great,
awesome.
and it's going to lead to other work. It's already leading to other things. There's work coming up that I've got, and there was another thing unfortunately I couldn't do that would have been great. But basically, yeah, it's TI3 was amazing for me, absolutely amazing.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. That sounds like a nerd's dream come true. I had some folks.
It really was, yeah.
One of the more popular questions people have posted on Reddit and tweeted at me is asking what it's like for you being kind of the Kim Kardashian of Dota 2, and that sounds more offensive than I think it's intended, but more so that you've become popular and now you can just sort of show up to events and be the like celebrity that everyone wants to talk to, and you don't really have to,
Yeah, it's weird actually because I don't really get it. Like it's weird because the internet is a very strange place, and when you sort of venture into it the way I have, you sort of realize that I don't fully understand my position in it, or whether this is going to last beyond another few months, or whether it'll become a sort of long-term thing. I mean, I talk to like I've started making videos. Have you heard of you've heard of the Yogscast guys? They do like Minecraft videos and a bunch of
sure.
stuff. There's like a whole family, right? So I've been making videos with them, and I've done some stuff with them that will be coming out shortly, and I might be doing some more stuff with them next year. Like, how did that happen? Do you know what I mean? They have like an office, and they actually
Yeah.
employ people. Like they're
serious.
full on. Yeah. And I mean, I bet that they didn't set out, this is what we'll do, but it's just what you make of it sort of thing. So
Right.
what I'm trying to do is, while this is going on, I want to have as much fun as I can and do as much stuff as I can because Dota 2 might sort of decide that someone else is a better Pyrion Flax than me, so why not get him to do all this stuff? Yeah. So really, I'm just trying to enjoy it while I can, really. But
I think that's a good approach. That's appreciate it.
You can't get too attached to it. Yeah, you can't get too attached to it, because if you do, then when it's gone, you'll become like Kim Kardashian will be in 10 years' time when she's clinging on to all this stuff, and people will be like, "Jesus, she's still around?" It's kind of embarrassing. So yeah, I don't think you can't take it too seriously, and you can't get too involved in it.
Yeah, and you have to just recognize the volatility of this industry.
Exactly, that's the word. That would have been a good word. The volatility, the sort of is it not intransigence, transient nature.
Transient, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's kind of it's quick moving. I mean, look at what StarCraft 2 was the game to watch online, and now it doesn't seem to be doing anywhere near. It's more like Dota. League of Legends is very big, but that won't last forever. Yeah. It's weird. Everything comes and goes. It's very volatile.
StarCraft is a weird one. There's all sorts of. That's a conversation for another day. We can talk about that for a whole nother hour episode. So I know you're on a tight schedule. We've got a few more things we want to ask here.
Sure.
In addendum to your sort of traveling now, going to events, I'm sure you've had the opportunity to do some John Hancocks, sign a couple signatures.
Yes.
Have you been asked to sign anything strange? Have you signed body parts? Has anyone asked you to sign like an Xbox controller or something totally off kilter?
Yeah. There was a guy going around TI3 with a Super Nintendo, I think it was, and we all signed that. I don't know if there might have been an Xbox controller. I can't remember. Definitely body parts. Please sign my chest. All men, of course. Biceps, legs, like a whole array of things. Like all the stuff that you could buy in a shop. People wanted me to sign. T-shirts mainly. It's really, really hard to draw darks here on a T-shirt. I'll tell you that. But It was a lot of fun. Like we had no idea how popular the autograph booth was going to be, where you just sit in a table for like 2-3 hours. People were queuing up for hours just to get us to digitally sign stuff, sign their autograph, and then they'd say hi, and you'd say hi, it's nice to meet you, and that was it. And they were delighted. And because that was the thing we were saying, is that it's more than just a game. That like these kind of games that get this big, there's a whole fan culture around it. It becomes almost like, if you think about a movie that comes out, people like say pick Star Trek, right? Mm-hmm. Think that there's a whole industry around Star Trek now. Obviously, Star Trek is way bigger than Dota or I'd say any game really. But if you think about the conventions and the sort of amount of stuff you can get, there are some people who've probably watched every episode, but they might not even watch them anymore. But they still go to all the conventions, they buy all the stuff, and they're kind of into it. Sure. And look at there are lots of cosplayers there who you ask them who they play, and they were like, "Oh, I'm new. I've only played a few games, but I really like it." But what they like is the aesthetic and the sort of fan culture around the game more than the game. Like that's such a new territory for games to be in. So I think my sort of popularity, if you want to put it that way, is related to that, because people will sort of hoover up. Hold on, what's the matter? No, you didn't. The cat's fine, love. The cat's fine. She went outside because you shouted at her. Oh. Yeah, so it's weird kind of... Oh, she's going outside. Okay, sorry about that. Yep. Okay, love, I'm on the phone. Hold on. So basically, it's kind of one of those weird... Oh, God, I've forgotten. Anyway, sorry, next question.
Okay, awesome. We'll go full steam right ahead here. We're going to go fan questions next. You mentioned Star Trek. I noticed there was a Klingon on your Facebook page. Are you a big Star Trek fan?
Oh, yeah. That was one of my favorite things. There's a video online. If you look for the one who is moving now, right? There's a video on Vimeo. It's one of those old VHS board games from the 90s. Mm-hmm. And it's a Klingon saying, "You, the one who is moving now, respond!" And someone made a GIF of it for me. And I just thought it was so funny. So I loved that picture. But yeah, I'm a big Star Trek fan, big Star Wars fan, all that kind of stuff.
Awesome. I'm a big Star Trek fan myself. I found bumping into other Star Trek fans is an occurrence that's few and far between way too often.
Really?
I found that at
least. Everyone's into anime now. They're all into anime.
I was speaking Klingon on stream a couple weeks ago. Everyone was just like, "Dude, just shut the fuck up. You sound like a moron.
Wow.
Stop it."
You speak Klingon?
I can pronounce a couple words.
That's a bridge too far.
I can't I can't like ask somebody to marry me, but I can say a couple of phrases. I can ask where the toilet is. The essentials.
Well, I guarantee you, if you're asking someone to marry you in Klingon and they say yes, you should probably move on very quickly to somebody else.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So we've got a couple of good Twitter questions here, and one of the first ones is, how do you comprehend having a family whilst being a famous Dota streamer? We sort of talked about that a little bit earlier, but yeah.
I can't really comprehend that I have a wife and family at all. Like just on a human level. All this stuff on top, everybody's always astounded. Like, I think part of the appeal that people have is they can't believe someone this old can use a computer, and that someone with a family still plays games. Like, because I think a lot of people don't have any understanding of what having a family involves. It doesn't mean that we sort of follow each other around like elephants on the savannah, sort of holding trunk to tail and never leaving each other's side. You know, so there's still, you do still have time. The kids go to bed, and then I spend 5 or 6 hours playing games and making videos, and they go to school, and then I do the same thing. So you do find time, but the main thing that people say to me is, when your kids are older and they can use the internet, what do you think they're going to make of all the stuff you've got like on YouTube and videos? And I have absolutely no idea what to make of it. I mean, they both love games. The older one especially, she loves games, so she'll probably roll her eyes. I don't know. Maybe YouTube will be dead and gone by then. I can't imagine it would be.
It's hard to say. It'll be so different. Everything moves so quickly. It's impossible to predict. How did you do that Ray Romano impression at the end of the Faceless Void video? The first time I watched that video, I swear to God, I have not laughed that hard since. That was the funniest thing I've ever seen. Hello, Raymond. It's just...
I don't know. It's just... I hate the show. I love... I make fun of it. Like, my mum's a big fan of it, so... I don't know why. Like, people always say that my voice is like Kermit the Frog. I think it's got that kind of sort of slightly squeaky, tinny quality. I don't know quite where you'd put it, but Ray Romano's voice isn't that different from Kermit the Frog. It's kind of in the back of the throat sort of voice. So I kind of feel like it wasn't that difficult. But I didn't even think it was a good Ray Romano impression. But people really liked it. It was so weird.
It just, the whole thing, I don't know. It's so perfect.
That was the weirdest thing. Like, I didn't even know where that came from. I've tried to imagine, when did I think that Ray Romano's mother was a lizard? And why am I mentioning Ray Romano in a video about Faceless Void? Like, where is this coming from?
It's the perfect analogy. How bad is his alt? It's like being stuck in time and just watching reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond. I can't think of something much worse than that. It's pretty terrible.
So weird. So weird.
So good. That was just one of my absolute favorite.
I think that was probably my best video. Like, people really liked that one.
It's one of your most watched for sure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
I mean, some of the ones that I put out that I'm quite happy with, people like, this is no good. He's lost it, and I think, oh man, have I? Like, is this the end? it's yeah. In the end, I think the main thing with the hero guides is that I'm so obsessed with them being as good as the other ones, or that people think, you know, if I release a terrible hero guide, is that it? Is it all going to be over? Are people going to go, nope, this is good, this is no good, his last video was no good, I'm out? So it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm so obsessed with making it just right at the moment that it's kind of putting me off. But it's coming. There's something happened the other day in a game that made me want to make a video about a particular hero. So, but I've just got to frame it right. And I'm very busy next month, but I will be coming. It will be coming, I promise.
Perfect. And one of the last questions I want to take here: what makes a good courier?
What, you mean like a design?
Yeah. What do you look for in a courier?
It's got to be adorable. Like, it's just got to be adorable. That's it. If they're not cute, I mean, you know, it's such a helpless little creature. I think you need to feel it's like you want to protect it. If it's just some or like I don't know, like I wanted to see a spider courier, but everybody was like, they'd confuse it with broodmother. I was like, oh yeah. And then I was like, how about this? And they were like, no, because then they'll confuse it with that. I was like, oh yeah. So I don't really know what makes a good courier, but I know that I like the ones that are either really cute or really sort of unique. You know, like the Smeevil on the flying carpet. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of a flying carpet. That's brilliant. So I like that kind of uniqueness. The ones that are kind of just an animal, like it's a badger or it's a sheep, they're nice, but I kind of get sick of them. I like the ones that are a bit weird.
Yeah.
And it's got to have a funky effect. Like I've got the Garion Dry Wizard or whatever his name is, the one who makes rainbows. He poops rainbows while he runs along. Like, that's a nice effect. But the ones that make people go, ooh, that's cool, you know, and it's like, yeah, look at it. Check out my courier guys. Here, I'll get the courier guys.
Yeah.
Boop. Yeah, that's...
Yeah, and I've been showing that picture on your little flashcard that I made of the one where you were stopped in the airport and they asked you to make that really discontented face where you're kind of just like,
that was at I-49. That wasn't at the airport. That was at
my mistake,
not a Dota LAN. It was a big LAN event here in the UK. That I went and cast that tournament with my friend Durka.
Yeah.
And Yeah, it was fun, but we were stuck in a shoebox. Like the Dota was such an afterthought that we were in between a big sort of sales stand and the tuck shop where you could buy like drinks and biscuits and things. So we were in. It was like being in the understairs cupboard. Like it was literally like being in there, and we sort of cast there for like 14 hours a day. This Dota 2 tournament, but it was loads of fun. But yeah, it wasn't difficult to look pissed off. And they said, "Can you look angry?" I was like, "Yeah, I've eaten nothing but pizza for 4 days. I could look furious."
Yeah, that's another good one. So we'll let you go here. Do you have? We're going to talk about your blog in the next portion of the show. Do you want to just make a statement about it, or talk to us how?
Yeah, sure.
That came to life?
I mean, Heyoka is the guy at Team Liquid that I started talking to, and basically, I just sort of wrote that article, and I said, "Hey, what could I do with this?" And I asked a couple of people. They were like, "I don't know. You could post it on a forum." And I was like, "Well, I kind of wanted to see what people had to say. I wanted to be more of like a blog, you know, but I wasn't really sure." And then Matt was like, "Oh, we love it. We'd love to put it on the TL site." I was like, "Okay, cool." So I have a blog there now, and as and when I think of stuff, like I whenever people want to work with me, I always say, "Okay, the first thing you'll have to understand is like you'll have children screaming in the background anytime we do something live like this, so I apologize." But the other thing I say is like that I can't have a time schedule, or it needs to be every week, or it needs to be, because I just can't do that. So basically the blog is something I'm going to update as and when I have something I want to say. But basically this was about the fact that there are a lot of kind of insidious stuff about different nationalities and them being inherently worse at the game, or being inherently rude, or they do this, they always do that. And I just thought we're not steering that far away from stereotyping, and it's in a negative way. And I kind of felt like people weren't noticing that it was happening, and a lot of people would do it that I thought were otherwise were, you know, fine people, but they just sort of did it. And it's when that happens, when it becomes fine to just prejudge people and go, like, I've played games, everybody's played games. The game starts and the guy goes, "GG, got 3 Russians over here." And you think, that's like, how can you say that? Like,
Yeah.
it's just kind of, it's not cool. And then people kind of got the wrong end of the stick and thought that I was saying that if you turn up on an English language server and scream at people in a language they don't understand, and then deliberately throw the game, like, oh, how could you defend those people? I'm not defending those people. Those guys would be dicks if they spoke English or not. Like, I don't do that.
Right.
It's nothing to do with the language barrier. It's just the fact that those are unpleasant people, and you're going to bump into those people when you play games on the internet with people you don't know.
Right.
The only thing I would say is find a group of people, find a community that you like. There's loads of channels in Dota where there's people who play and they're part of a website or they're part of a forum. Just get in there and find a group of friends, and then from there they'll invite friends. You like them, you add them, and you build up a friends list. Don't just solo queue. Like, solo queuing is just trusting to the wind. You're going to bump into great people. Why would you? Who's solo queues? For me, it's like it's you know, when if you guys have ever been smokers, if you run out of smokes and it's like really late at night and you have to make a cigarette out of the dregs from the ashtray, and you get some papers, and you're like, my God, I'm rolling up just the worst cigarette in the world, but I desperately need nicotine. That's the equivalent. Solo queuing in Dota 2 is digging around in the remnants of other people's drinks, just because it's people you don't know, and they're expected to be selfless, and there's meant to be too. Why have you got this? It's lime juice. You don't need lime juice. What are you doing with this? I better go.
Okay. Well, Pyrion, it was an absolute pleasure, guys. Make sure you follow him at Pyrion Flax on Twitter. It's /Ted himself on YouTube. Any shout-outs or last remarks you want to make before I let you go here, buddy?
Thanks very much, Nope. Last words, thank you for having me, and I'm gonna listen to the show from now on. So I didn't realize that you guys made this. You need to get the word out there, I think.
All right, we'll do our best.
I will do my best, and good luck to you. Take it easy.
Thank you very much. Take care. Wow. So, gents, that was a great way to start the first portion here of our episode 5 of the morning show. We're going to move into a break, and when we come back, we're going to sort of do this episode in reverse order and talk about news coming up. Halloween, inspiring impromptu pumpkin carving, that's going to be coming up when we get back from our break. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Dota Radio Morning Show. Don't go anywhere, because we will be back in a matter of minutes.